and we're gonna go over a quick way to get over Gunship's place. You're gonna go to the community center, head right over to the portal, or any portal really, gate. Then you go down to player vendor malls, right over here to Gunship's crafting. Right here, you can walk right in, head up to the top floor.
Hey everyone, this is Gunship Clipman here on UOAlive server. I am a crafter by trade, and I'm looking to give a class on a little bit of crafting, a little bit of process work. And as you'll see, we'll get some guys in here. We'll get into the crafting process, going into reforging, enhancing, powdering, imbuing. All that sounds like a lot, but we're going to break it down Barney style and help you guys get your start on making custom suits. Everybody, it's Gunship Clipman here. We are doing a class on crafting. This will take you through pretty much everything you need to know to become dangerous in the crafting world. There's been a lot of guides done on taming, on dexing, stuff like that, but I figured that it's about high time that we got a lot of you entry-level crafters, and of course experienced crafters as well, to hop in here and learn the basics or relearn the basics, or just as a good refresher course. Just enough to become dangerous. We're not going to be crafting any high-end luxe suits or anything like that, but with the goodie bags that are being handed out, that will be everything that you need to craft a couple of items that we're going to be doing, or we're going to be walking you through the process of crafting, because there are specific steps. And it's important to understand those steps and understand that some of those steps are no takesy backsies. So once you step onto the next process of crafting, you can't go back and fix something that that you messed up or forgot about. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and start. Everyone needs to get a goodie bag that's being handed out right now, thanks to my dedicated apprentice Aldor here, who's actually a part of Temp House, one of the leaders in Temp House. A great starting point for any new player coming into the server. Temp House, I can't speak enough about Temp House. Temp House is great. Now, what we do here is we're going to expand a little bit about the crafting world. We're going to break it down. So with everything you guys have in little goodie bags, you're going to see. I'm going to open one up here, and if there's not enough to go around, Alder, just let me know, and I'll hand out the one that I have right now. If you open up your little goodie bag, you'll see that there is a Shadow Runic Hammer. You'll see that there's iron ingots, bronze ingots, powder fortifying, relic fragments, a couple of gems, and then magic residue. All of these are pretty par for the course for making a suit from beginning to end, and we'll use those throughout the lesson. So to start out, I'm going to go ahead and open up my notebook here. So, starting out crafting. To start out crafting, we got to first look at the resources that we'll need. For instance, we're making a basic suit. You get a lot of that stuff, depending on the discipline that you're crafting. So, for instance, blacksmithing is going to use a lot of mining-esque like resources. So there's plenty of scripts out there. Highly recommend Fire Beetle, Blue Beetle, utilizing those in your script. Big disclaimer that AFK resource gathering in UOAlive, no go. Do not do it. It's not worth your time. Just had somebody get the boot for that. And the reason that is, and the reason why I love it so much that UOAlive polices up the AFK scripters, is because the AFK scripters crash economies. And as we're sitting here on these benches, we're in the business of making money, or at least making our own suits with the resources that exist in the game. So when there is an overabundance of resources that are gathered specifically by AFK scripters, it crashes the economy. And that's great for the scripter for like 2 weeks. But then once the economy's gone, then all of us who are interested in making a living off crafting, being that proverbial blacksmith, making weapons and making gear for the warriors to go out and fight, that entire vibe, that just goes away. that goes away. So that's my big disclaimer when I'm talking about resource collection. I use a semi-automatic script. It saves my fingers out a lot. There's plenty of them online. You don't have to use a script at all if you don't want to. I know for myself that a semi-automatic script does everything I need, and it still keeps me engaged in the game as I'm watching a movie or whatever, and that allows me to collect easily, but also it allows me to collect easily and legally. So don't use AFK scripts. If you're using or if you're using a fully automatic script, just be careful, because I know someone knocks on the door, something like that happens, you get up and boom. It's just not worth it. And it's not worth it for the overall economy as well if people are AFK script harvesting. So that's my big disclaimer. So you got mining, you got lumberjacking, and you got leather. You also got some of the other rare resources, such as the Stygian Abyss imbuing ingredients. That stuff's going to get a little expensive, but luckily for us, when we're talking about imbuing, we don't really have to deal with those rare resources yet. We're just talking about the fundamentals. So don't worry about the super rare ingredients, the good Kush from India, nothing like that. Don't worry about that. For right now, if you're just starting out as a crafter and you're just starting out in the game overall, it's best just to pick up just the basic minerals, the basic materials, such as the ingots, the iron ingots. You can go anywhere. Even if you look around here, you got plenty of gray mountain here. You got plenty of caves. They're all over the place. Umbra, Malice, wherever you want to go. That's a good start. Now for lumberjacking, it's perfect. You just go find yourself some trees, go chop up, get your oak, get your heartwood, get your frostwood, and then leather. To start is great for that. Both on the tram and the fell side. Grinding those dragons, which kind of gets into the point of, well, if I'm just a pure crafter, maybe I can't get that leather. Well, who are you going to craft those suits for? You obviously have a combat tune you can blow all that money on and get them really fit up. So crafting really goes great as long as you have you have some tune that's able to go out and get some leather. Now the common leather you can get from the NPC vendors. That's too easy. You can buy plenty of that, up to like 15 gold cost effectiveness if you're running a lot of bods. We're not going to get into bods too much today, but that's resource collection as a whole. Does anyone have any questions about that? Just very briefly, just pop up in the chat. If you do, I'm really not going to get too much into resource collection. I just encourage you to find a system that works for you and to go after it, because all the resources you collect, you will eventually use them at some point. It's good to have a good basis, so you don't have to stop crafting to go and get that extra 100 ingots of whatever. So not seeing any questions in the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to the real reason that we're here, and that is the crafting process. So crafting, step 1, and there are 5 steps to this process. And big disclaimer, people do different stuff for different results. So for higher end stuff, like higher end luck suits, the process will be different. Okay, I'm not going to get into that right now. This is a beginner level entry class. So what I'm just doing is I'm giving you the basic steps to making, your starting suits, your 100% LRC. Well, what's LRC? Lower regent cost. So with a suit that is 100% LRC, doesn't require regents, so you can cast for free. You don't have to worry about regents anymore, which is great. A lot of people love them. A lot of people buy them. Not too much money in the starting suits as it stands in UOAlive server, but it's a great place to get your name out there. Brand recognition is a thing. I've built my brand on this whole orc vibe thing. So believe me, getting your starting suit, mark it up, helping out temp house even. That's a good way to get your name out there, and then at that point that opens up doors for you if you want to do this professionally. That opens up doors for you to start getting those bigger contracts. Kind of like a real world business. If you think about it like a blacksmith just starting out in town, it's kind of like that. It's pretty cool how it works. So anyway. So the stuff what we got right now is the first step, which is forging. Now, with forging, Depending on what discipline you're forging at, for us, for this example, we'll be using blacksmithing. And we're going to use an imaginary client. So, Private Scruffy showed up to your doorstep and said, hey, I would like a, let's say a katana. I'm a Dexter, I'm a melee Dexter. I need a katana, and I would like it to have, what's two things that Dexters always need? So 2 things that Dexters always need is going to be your SSI, which is your swing speed increase, and then is going to use the second one, which is Mana Leech. That is a pretty common, those are two common keywords that you're going to see when you're talking about melee Dexter. Now, I'm going to take a brief pause. This part's going to be filled with caveats. And a brief pause and say, you don't have to be an expert on what stats go with each build. Like, don't be worried. You don't have to be an expert in the game to start crafting, because ultimately, you're just the guy putting the stats on the items. You don't determine what stats go onto those items. That should be the client. And if a client asks your opinion, a perfectly good answer is, I don't know. Like, I don't know. That's a complete sentence. I don't know is a complete sentence. You don't want to be talking out of ignorance, especially with crafters when you're crafting, because that can burn through goodwill pretty quickly. If you recommend something that you don't know, and it turns out that's not what the build wanted at all, you don't want that. Plus, it's not a very nice thing to do anyway. So, for this example, free turkey, or free chicken, I should say, is for a melee Dexter, swing speed increase. That's a good one. And Mana Leech, that's another good one. So that he wants an item, so that's a katana. He wants an item, and say for the next piece, he wants a ring mail. We'll do ring mail sleeves, and he's not really looking for anything special. He would like to see maybe some decks on there and maybe some mana. We'll just use those as placeholders for right now. So we got 2 stats on ring mail sleeves, and we got 2 stats on the katana. Now, so what we need to look at is the process of how this all begins. And when you are making stuff to imbue, which is one of the last steps we're going to do, it has to be exceptional. Okay, well, what is exceptional? Exceptional, if you walk up to this forge that I've placed in front of you, and you open up your crafting tools, you can see, I'm going to use this over here as reference. You guys look at the screen. I'm going to go over to my bladed weapon. I'm going to go over to katana, and you're going to see a success chance, 100%, sweet. And then you're going to look at exceptional chance. That is also 100%. Why is that? Well, that's because my skills are so high that I'm always guaranteed to get an exceptional chance. And by skills, I mean my blacksmithing is at 120, and the baseline to make that item is at 44.1. So I've reached a certain threshold where I'm always guaranteed an exceptional item. Now, why is that important? Because it limits the amount of, or it decreases the amount of time it takes to get all your exceptional gear. And what I mean by that is you're going to be making a lot of these. You're going to be making a lot of katanas if you're going for that that good piece of gear. And the reason that we make a lot of the base level forging katanas with the exceptional keyword attached is because there is a good amount of RNG that comes in later in the process. We're not going to get too much into that on this step, but just know that making 40, 60, sometimes even 80 of a specific item is completely normal for our crafting process. Obviously not in our base level, what we're making, just a very simple, very easy stat lines to it, just 2, not a lot. But oh my god, is that Ragnall? Oh my god, that's Ragnall. I'm in love. So Ragnall, we got a little bit of a celebrity here. Ragnall's actually who taught me to craft. So no pressure on this one. Anyway, yeah, Ragnall, he is the high tier in-game crafter. He is the guy. I can't speak enough about Ragnall. Oh my god, I'm kind of taken aback. But yeah, that's Ragnall. He is the Lord of the Forge as far as anyone's concerned. No one does it better than that guy. Ragnall's here. That makes my day. Anyway, okay, so we're going back into step one, forging. So it's completely normal when you're making your suits, you're making your gear, to go through about, going through about 40 to 60 of these if you're really looking for a specific item, because there's a lot of RNG, random number generator, that goes into crafting. Because what's the cool thing about UO is that it's not like an easy crafting system. And what I mean by easy, I mean it's not going to spoon feed you. And that's what makes your job as a crafter so much worth it, is because you have to go through the hard work. You have to go through the randomness factor of making these items. And you don't have to worry about someone just picking up crafting and, oh, I can do everything you can do within 5 minutes. No. There is a large difficulty factor in making these high-end custom suits. Not to dissuade you, but in fact to encourage you that you'll be spending a lot of time, sifting through that gear. You'll spend a lot of time, reforging. You'll spend a lot of time throwing stuff that you're not looking for away. So if we're making a bunch of these katanas, there's going to be a lot of stuff that ends up in the trash, and that's completely fine. I've had a lot of questions about that. Like, is it normal for me to be making all these katanas and for it to be a whole lot of crap? It's completely normal, and you shouldn't be discouraged by it. Gonna check questions real quick. Nothing yet. Okay, so first process we have is making this katana, and what we're looking for in a weapon when we're reforging is we're looking for exceptional. That's all we're looking for. So everyone, if you would like, this will be an interactive piece. This will be an interactive piece of the class. If everyone can step forward to the anvil, and if you can make me a katana. Just make a katana. If you don't have the blacksmithing skill, don't worry. Don't worry at all. It's not an issue. Just keep the goodie bag. Follow along as I'm going through it. Step forward, and you're going to make one katana with iron ingots. And the reason why we're doing iron is because we are going to enhance this piece of weaponry. Okay, so we make it iron, and then we enhance it with another metal. That'll come later in the steps, but just know you always want to start base level, base bones, iron katana. That's all I'm looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and click iron katana. I'm too far away to do that because I'm not by my stuff. Iron katana. 1, please. Boop, there it is. I'm going to go back. Look at that, exceptional. Okay, let's review this real quick. So the customer wanted a katana. He wanted swing speed increase and he wanted mana leech. Okay, so we've got a katana that does what we need to do at this stage. It's exceptional. That's what we're looking at. You also want to look down and see damage increase. What is that? What is damage increase? Damage increase is a stat line, quote unquote, a name. What is a name? So a name is all it is just a stat line. We can have up to 5 stat lines on a piece of gear. That's all we can do. It's just 5. So it's important when we're working with weapons. We're just working with weapons. It's important to remember when we're working with weapons, we will always have damage increase. That takes up 1 slot. Don't forget about that slot. So now we have 4 to work with. Thank you, Ragnall. And so what the biggest thing is for that damage increase, that's not permanent. We can remove that, but we don't have to worry about that right now. There's ways to remove it. But anyway, katana. We made a katana. I'm assuming everyone's following along. I hope everyone's following along. Don't be shy. There's an anvil right by the forge. You guys all should have access to it. Why? The question was asked by Arbiter. Why is the damage increase 41%? He's always only had 40% and thought that was standard. I don't actually understand why it would be 1% more. I suppose it'd have to do something with maybe the weapon itself. Maybe it's the weapon itself. I'm not for sure. I might have to get back to you on that. Honestly, 1% difference is not going to be. Oh, there we go. Ragnall's got me. The master always teaches. Arms lore modifies the amount of damage increase, 41%. So with my arms lore, I'm going over to my skill tree, going down to my crafting bracket. Arms lore is at 120, super easy to max out. I think the power scroll is a little expensive, but That arms lore will modify that damage increase. So anyway, all right. So we all should have our katanas. If you haven't already, make sure to grab those. And now we're gonna need. What's the next? Does anyone remember what the next item we needed was? What did the client want? What did the imaginary client want? He wanted a ringmail sleeve. That's right. Perfect. Good job. So we're gonna go over and we're going to make a ringmail sleeve. That'll be under metal armor. Always make sure, and I've been bit by this before, always make sure that your metal type is selected to iron. You don't want to make 40 of those things as shadow iron ingots. I can tell you that right now, because I've done it. You don't want to do that. You just do it. If you're making your own, if you're making a suit for a client, you always want to start out with iron. We can go from there. Look at that. Exceptional. Okay. So, forging. We're still in the forging phase, or in the very basics of it. And so we see here the katana, right? We got the damage increase. We got the physical damage. That will never change. That's going to be there. Obviously, the arms lore modifies how much damage increase you got. And going on to a little bit of the lecture now, we're going to focus on what's different about the ringmail sleeves versus the katana. Or more specifically, the question is, what's different about armor than with the weapon? I'll pull this over here so everyone can kind of see it. Okay, we got something called here the resists. Look at those: physical resist, fire resist, cold resist, poison resist. What do those mean? Okay, well that's important because, and the reason why forging is an important part with armor is because I'm going to make the same ringmail sleeve here. Look at that. Exceptional. It's important to know. But look how they're different. So one's at physical resist 7%, fire resist 7%, cold resist 11%. And then we have the other ones that are 6, 11, 3. Now, why is that important? So we know that it's different, right? We know that the physical resists vary by item, however much we make. But that's important because when you're crafting an overall set, you want the max resistances for that armor, which is 70 across the board. Now you want all of those to equal 70. So why is it important that we notice what resistances go where? Because when we are making a set of armor, so your sleeves, your leggings, your gloves, your tunic, even your hat, we have to get those evened out as much as possible. Because if we were to, say for instance, if we were to get a bunch of ringmail armor that's maxed out on physical resistance, but it's really weak on everything else, well then we have some massive holes in that protection. So when we are crafting these sets, what I usually do, I craft one at a time, each piece one at a time. And because of that, I'm able to see, well, what am I really looking for? I have really good, look right here. I have really good cold resistance. I need some energy resistance now. So my leggings, my ringmail leggings, I might grind enough of those, make enough of those leggings to make up to compensate for energy resist. So I'd have a high energy resistance number, maybe a lesser cold resistance value. So you want all of those resistances to even out to about 70. Now, here's the disclaimer. We don't have to get it perfectly 70, not by the forging process. We can add to it. We can modify it. That'll happen later in the stage. But I really wanted to draw focus onto the armor, how the armor is different from the weapon. So the weapon, you get what you get. Not a lot of hard work there. You just need a bunch of them because you're going to be grinding through a lot of those as you're getting into our reforging step, which will be next. But with the armor, it's important to kind of have either a spreadsheet, a notebook, or just a good old-fashioned big brain and track where our resistances are across the entire set. So when you're starting sets, I'm sure you guys have heard plenty of people advertising for starting sets. LRC, lower regent cost, 100%. He got some lower mana cost in there. Perfect resists, 70 resists. Okay, that's big. You want those 70 resistances when you're working. That's your first objective, is getting all those resistance types up to 70. I think we've hit that dead horse plenty. Okay, important to know. So we have talked about how items have to be exceptionally crafted. We talked about how the armor must have resistances spread. So these are what I mean by the resistance spread. Those are different. We have to make sure that our suit has a good resistance spread, that there are no glaring holes, and then we have to craft in iron for our basic stuff. Now, of course, there's, you get higher end stuff. This isn't that part of the show. We're just talking about basic stuff. Craft in iron, and then we enhance with other materials later. Okay, does anyone have any questions about forging? I know it's a lot. I'm throwing a lot at you, but this video will be recorded so you can go back and reabsorb. But any questions about forging before we move on? Wow, there's a lot of people in here. Good grief. This is way more than 16. I was lied to. Or is it more than that? I can't count very well. I'm in the army. Give me a break. All right. So, talked about forging. Bragnell is typing. Yeah, let the master speak. What have I forgotten, sir? We'll give everyone a little bit. Drink some coffee here. Get reassessed. So we are crafting. Oh yeah, perfect. Yeah, arms lower will also affect armor, giving a 5% bonus to resists at GM. Yeah, perfect. There is an item that exists in this game. It's called the Anvil of Ancients, I believe. It's an anvil. It's a big old anvil. And I'm not saying you have to use it. It should be under the UO. Oh, there it is. Anvil of Artifacts. Allows a player to set the value of all exceptional resist bonuses, providing when crafting an exceptional piece of armor. When crafting with the runic tool, the resulting armor is still subject to random magical item properties. Okay, what does that mean? That means that we are able to influence physical resist. We're able to change fire resist. We're able to modify cold resist. So this is a way to get around the RNG, the random number generator, the chance, the dice rolls per se, of making the armor. 1,000 sovereigns. But Gunship, I don't want to spend sovereigns. And you don't have to. I'm not saying that you have to spend sovereigns. I don't use the Anvil of Artifacts. But all I'm showing is that there's different roads to Rome than just going through the normal process. So that's something that you're interested in. That's available on UOAlive Shard. That is something that's available for 1,000 sovereigns. Just showing you the tools in your tool belt. 18 charge. The question was asked, when it says 18 charges, is that rechargeable? No, that is not rechargeable. One and done. So when you use 18, it becomes useless. There's a similar item like that. We'll get into that a little bit later during the enhancing stage. But I want to keep things pretty clear and concise for the timestamps. Okay, so we've talked about forging. I think we've talked a lot about forging. No one's scared yet. No one's running away. So I'm taking that as a good sign. Okay, don't be discouraged. And instead, treat a lot of this information as exclusive barriers for your journey as a crafter. As you continue as a crafter, the more knowledge you get, the more dangerous and the more valuable you are to the community. So someone who doesn't really know that much about crafting can't really make the higher end gear, can't really make the higher end stuff. But like yourselves that are sitting here learning this is a time investment into you becoming a better craftsman. So there's a lot of information. Don't be frightened. This is just barriers of entry into a marketplace, and it's information that you now have that your competitor might not necessarily have. It's all good stuff. Okay. Next step. This is a big one, y'all. Reforging. This is where most people start screaming. Reforging is the process of modifying equipment with stat lines. And if you look into your bag, little goodie bag, you will see Shadow Runing Hammer. This is a blacksmith reforge tool. And by reforging, I mean this. So y'all know, you're going through the game, you kill something, and it drops a piece of gear. You look at the piece of gear and you see the stats on it. Show me the stats. Where are the stats? That is reforging. The game has produced stats on that piece of gear by running the numbers, so to say. It runs its all, calculations, and it presents this piece of gear with these different stats on it. When we reforge, we turn this piece, this ring mail sleeve, we turn this into a piece of gear that has stats on it. We can modify, or we can exclude, I should say, we can exclude all the stats that we don't want on it for the most part. So for this Dexter, he might not want, like for his katana weapon, he might not want, hit fireball spell. Like, why would he want that on a katana? He wouldn't. He's looking for a specific piece. So we as crafters try to exclude all the unnecessary crap, all the stat lines that we don't want, the fat per se, and we want all muscle. So this is especially beneficial when we're talking about making complete sets. And you're thinking, well, we can do the exact same thing with imbuing, right? Well, we can just add whatever we want with imbuing. You can, but here's the thing. And here's why reforging is expensive, yet it is useful to know, especially when you're making later game items, is that imbuing can only go up to a certain point. So we're going to use easy numbers here. So say you have just easy numbers, don't quote me on this, but the game will allow you to put up to 10 mana regeneration on a piece of weaponry or a piece of gear. Okay. With imbuing, we can put all the way up to 6. So we have 60% of what's called the intensity rating, or how strong that stat is, the intensity. So when we're talking about intensities, we're talking about how high that stat number is. So just to backtrack, we're talking names, we're talking stat lines. Stat lines meaning the name of the stat. And we're talking intensities. Intensities are the number of the stat. Names, stat. Intensity, number. Okay, so stat number is name intensity. Does that make sense for everyone? I just want to really drill that in. When we're talking about names, we're talking about intensities. That's not some hidden crafting lingo. All we're talking about is the stat, the name of the stat, and the number of the stat. And that stat number has a bracket, has a range, how much you can put on it. So going back to our example with mana regeneration, we have 1 to 10. So 1 being the lowest intensity and 10 being the highest intensity. We want those high numbers, right? We're going to use reforging to unlock some of that extra potential that is locked by the imbuing limit. So going back to our example, imbuing. With imbuing, I can only put, for this example, I can only put 6 mana regeneration. That's the most imbuing power I can that's the most intensity I can get with imbuing. Okay, well then what's the point of reforging? Reforging has an intensity from 1 to 10. So 8, 9, and 10, that higher intensity, that higher ratio of stats is only unlocked through reforging. Does that make sense? So when you are talking about max intensity stuff, max intensity gear is locked behind the reforging process. Okay. Does that make sense? Where is that? Everyone's tracking that? I kind of want to make sure everyone's on the same page. Reforging unlocks that final tier, that max stat line, that highest intensity of gear. That's what reforging can do. And it takes a long time. And by a long time, I don't mean, days, but it will take some repetition. And when we reforge, we can only reforge a piece of gear once. Okay. So if we roll something that we don't like, unfortunately, it'll go into the trash. So you see where the numbers coming in. Okay, I'm not alarming anybody. I'm just letting you know it's completely natural to be going through a lot of weapons looking for that one sweet piece. It's gonna take some time. which is good because if it was easy, everyone would be doing it and no one would be making money. Okay. So that's why. That's the why of reforging. That's the reason why we reforge. Now if your client is completely comfortable with that 60% intensity limit, just using easy numbers, don't quote me, but if he's completely fine with that, and a lot of your starting suits rest fully within that 60%, you don't even need to reforge. If you're making starting suits, you don't have to reforge. But reforging unlocks that highest potential, and the quality of runic tools you use determines what intensity you have available to yourself. Not going to get too much into the weeds on the different types of runic tools. It's a big conversation that deals with the bot system. I'm also not going to get into the bot system because that's a whole other process in and of itself. That's where I make my money. That's my angle in this. That's where I make my money. I make the bots, I make the runic tools, I sell them to the crafters. That's my angle. All we're talking about is why you want to reforge and when not to reforge too. So you just got to look at the stat lines. You got to look at the intensities and see if you even need to reforge in the first place. For this example, we will absolutely reforge because screw it. So, reforging. What does reforging need? Reforging needs a soul forge. That's right there. Soul forges are really easy to get. If anybody wants to charge you 100K for a soul forge, don't bother. Yeah, it's not expensive to get. It's pretty easy. It's pretty bulky on the cosmetic though, so you'll have to get some space, get some room. So, how do we reforge? Okay, so this is where it gets in the weeds a little bit. So I want you guys to pay attention. And I want you guys to take a deep breath, drink some coffee. I'm gonna drink some coffee right now. Don't be scared. I'm gonna go ahead and share a link because honestly, links are great. I'm gonna share this link with you. And yeah, Ragnall's just preaching pure solid gold right now. So yeah, as you're listening to me, go back, reference him, listen to him because he's got more stuff to add. He's tons of knowledge. Ragnall is the dude. He taught me. He taught me. I was sitting there where you guys were sitting with my thumb up my butt thinking, oh, look at crafting. This is the guy that taught me. So listen to Ragnall. He is an OG of the server. So here we go. We're clicking on this link, Runic Reforging, UO.com. So what does this pull up? This pulls up a website. And in this website, it's showing us the menus that we would see when we use a runic tool. So if you have your runic tool on you, if you're following along in the game, you're going to click on this shadow runic hammer. More specifically, double click. Target the item to reforge. Well, I'm going to reforge my katana right now. Boom, look at that. Oh, a menu. Oh crap, what is all this? What does all this mean? What does it mean? I don't know. So bottom right, there's a help bar. It is not that helpful. I mean, yes, you can kind of see, but a lot of people get turned off by this. So what we're going to do is that we're going to use our handy dandy Google, which I would highly recommend everyone get good at Google Kung Fu, especially when you're crafting, looking up keywords, looking up what keywords mean, stuff like that. Google's your friend. We're going to go back to this website, Runic Reforging, UO.com. And we're going to look at, I'm going to scroll down to about middle mass. We're going to see powerful reforging, structural reforging, fortified reforging, fundamental. What is all this stuff? Okay, here's the thing. We don't have to worry about half of this. So don't worry, don't be scared. Powerful reforging, all that does, powerful reforging, is that unlocks certain things. Like for instance, if you're using a dull copper runic tool, you would use the powerful reforging to increase the magical potential. It would increase the charges needed, because if you haven't noticed before, look at the tool charges here. Look back at my screen. Tool charges 45. Oh, that's great. I have 45 uses of it. Not quite. There's some things that we do to modify the amount of charges needed. Okay, so we click on powerful reforging. Oh, 2 charges? What? Yeah, bro. Yeah, it gets crazy. So it's not really 45. That's a lie. That number lies. The cake's a lie. Powerful reforging. So we don't really need this for what we're using right now, but that's just all it means. It's unlocking a little bit more of the intensity. And I'm sure Rydell can go into a little bit more of what powerful reforging is. I don't use it. because I use higher end runic tools, which there are different tiers of runic tools that are in the game. We're not going to get too much in that right now. All that we're going to worry about is the runic process itself, the reforging process itself. So, going back to our client and going back to what he wants. Okay, he wants this thing. What does he want? Well, that's a good question, Gunship. Probably you should read your notes. He wants SSI, which is swing speed increase, mana leech for the katana. What does that mean? What does that even entail? So we need to add stats. We need to add names to this katana. That's right here. Okay. We need to add stats to this. So how we do that is we go over to the website. We scroll all the way down. Reforging properties by name. Look at that chart. Oh my God. It's a lot of stuff, ain't it? Okay. So, if you're feeling like you're in the weeds, don't. I'm here with you. I'm holding your hand. We're going to work through this together. Don't be scared. Reforging properties by name. These are the different stats that are available for you to pick when you're reforging. Okay? So when you look at what our client wanted, what did our client want? He wanted SSI and he wanted mana leech. Okay, well where's SSI on this chart? Where do we see that? I found it. It's called Animated of Haste. Yeah, some questions about not seeing the it's better if you click on the link, Fallen, and you follow along on your own website chart. Yeah, I'm not going to share my web browser. I have too much Borderlands guides on this. Anyway, okay, so we look at, we go to the website, go all the way about close to the bottom. You're looking at reforging properties by name, and we're looking for SSI, Animated of Haste. We see that right there. So what does that mean? Okay, so we want that stat line on the piece of gear. But why is that in the weapons bracket? Why are there all types? Why is there armor? Why is there shield? Why is there that stuff? Why is there all the extra columns in that chart? Well, it's quite simple. This is the stuff that is available to you when you pick that name, when you pick that stat line. So we look over here at all types. This is the pool. So if you're talking about, like a pool of resources, these three things called Dex bonus, stamina increase, stamina regeneration, all three of these things are available to us to reforge onto our katana or our ringmail sleeves, whatever the pieces you're reforging. Those three things, those all types, means exactly that. All types. Weapon, armor, shield, doesn't matter. Those have a chance of being applied to that weapon or to that piece of gear. Okay. So what did the client not want? He didn't want stamina regen, I can tell you that right now. Okay, he didn't want dex bonus, and he didn't want stamina increase. Not a big problem. Okay, but just know that those three pieces of stat can also populate on whatever piece of gear we're using or we're trying to reforge as well. So we look a little bit to the right, we see the weapon. Okay, we got stamina leech and we got swing speed increase. Okay. We are reforging a weapon. So that is directly with what we might see on the piece. Okay. That does not mean that is the only thing that we'll see on that katana. Quite the opposite. We can see what? We can see all types and we can see the weapon. So we got, when we're reforging, we got dex bonus, stamina increase, stamina regen, all types, right? All types means all types. Doesn't matter what we're reforging. We also have weapon. So now we're adding to the pool. Okay, we're adding stamina leech, and we're adding swing speed increase to the pile that we might randomly pick out from the hat. So if you're pulling names from a hat, just think of these as you're dumping pieces of paper with the stat line into the hat. Okay. So in the hat right now, because we're doing animated of haste, we want that stat line. In the hat, we have dex bonus, stamina increase, and stamina regen. We have a percentage of getting those 3 names. Do we want those? No! We want swing speed increase. What we're also doing is when we're reforging a weapon, we're including stamina leech and we're including swing speed increase. We're dumping those two little pieces of paper with those names on it into the hat. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of paper into that hat. So we have a 1 out of 5 chance of getting what we want, swing speed increase. Wow. You're gonna need to make a lot of katanas. That's why I'm saying it's completely normal to make 20, 30, 40, 50 katanas, because you want that resource pool to draw from as you're going through this, as you're reforging. But Gunship, do we need to reforge at all? For a lot of stuff, no. You don't even have to go through this process. I am giving you these tools so that you at least have them, so when someone wants that rare stat, or that, not rare stat, but that higher intensity, you know what you're doing. You know enough to be dangerous, and you can reference back to this. Don't be scared. I'm still with you. I'm still holding your hand. We're still going through this. Okay. So, what else did he want on the katana? He wanted Mana Leech. Yeah, he did, didn't he? Do we see Mana Leech anywhere on that animated of haste? I don't. If you know something, I don't. Okay. Mana Leech. That's going to be another name. It's going to be a whole different property. Okay, where do we see Mana Leech? On the weapon. We see Mystic of Sorcery. But Gunship, wait, there's another one right down there. I see it. Arcane of Wizardry. Okay. Well, why would we pick Mystic of Sorcery over Arcane of Wizardry? Remember about the names in the hats? See how many pieces of paper are in Arcane of Wizardry? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're just looking for Mana Leech, dude. Look at Mystic of Sorcery. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which one do you think we should pick? I would almost say Mystic of Sorcery. I could be wrong. Let's see what Rangel says. I'm not off in the weeds here. Yeah, boom. He's answering all. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Rangel's the dude. Just for everyone's essay, just going back briefly about the powerful. In addition to improving the basic intensities of the properties, also adds a weight limit of plus 60 to the item being reforged. You can fit more stuff on it. What does weight mean? We'll get into that later. Okay, so we're back to reforging. We're going slight little detour, but now we're back on course. So we know we need animated of haste, right? We need that swing speed increase. But we also need Mana Leech. We also know we have a better chance of getting that Mana Leech out of the weapon slot from Mystic of Sorcery. So if you look back to my screen, how do we pick those 2 names? I'll show you. Grand Artifice. Click on that. What does Grand Artifice mean? Grand Artifice guarantees that the resulting item will have 1 name, 1 stat line. Prefix and suffix doesn't matter. Okay, that's just fluff. Don't worry about that. Grand Artifice guarantees that it'll have a name. It'll guarantee it'll have a stat line. Okay. Okay, why can anyone say, why did I click, when I clicked on Grand Artifice, the other ones became available? If I declick Grand Artifice, all these are still barriered. You also notice that when I click on Grand Artifice, charges needed increase. See that? You can kind of see where we're going with this. Inspired Artifice. Well, why would I click on Inspired Artifice? Inspired Artifice allows you to choose which name will be added to the item. Wait, so Gunship, you mean to tell me that if I don't pick Inspired Artifice, that I won't be able to choose any of the names? That means you could. Yeah, that means you could pick. I mean, you would when you just use Grand Artifice. That means you could have luck on there. That means you could have enhanced potions on there. That means you have durability on there. We don't want any of that. We're just looking for SSI, dude. We're just looking for Mana Leech. We don't need any of that. So that's why we click Inspired Artifice to choose, to take out all that random crap that we don't want on that weapon, to choose which name we want on the piece of gear. Okay, look what happens when I click on Inspired Artifice. Click on Inspired Artifice, charges needed, 3. Okay, now 2 to 3, 2, 3. See that? Yeah, you see where we're going with this. It's not really 45 charges at all, ain't it? Yeah, the game doesn't tell you that about first thing. You gotta figure that out for yourself. Yeah, it's a fun time. It's a fun time. But this is how you unlock that late gear, that late stage, or that final bracket of stat. This is where you get your good stuff. Reforging is where you become that name. You become that dude who can make that final in-game stuff. Imbuing is great. Imbuing does not have the same potential as Reforging does. Reforging is where your meat is. That's where your money is at. That's where you'll spend most of your time. That's where you'll spend most of your resources, is in the Reforging. Getting that good gear, getting that good stat line, and blowing through a lot of crap to get there. But once you get it, man, it's a dopamine rush, because you know once you get it, you are gold. You got it. Okay. So going back to what we were looking at. We have Inspired Artifice on there. We got Grand Artifice on there. So we got a name. We can choose which name. Hold on. Choose which name. So we have 1 name on there. We have 1 stat line. Okay, customer wanted 2. Look at Exalted Artifice. Exalted Artifice guarantees that the item will have 2 names. Both a prefix and a suffix. Prefix and suffix doesn't matter. Exalted Artifice means that we'll have 2 names on it. So now we can pick. So before with Inspired Artifice, we can only pick right here. If you're looking at my screen, we can only pick 1 school, 1 bracket. So we can only get Animated of Haste. Click on that. That's how you do it. You click on the name, click on which one you want. You reference which one you want based off of the chart that I linked in the Discord. Boom. Animated of Haste. Well, we need a Mana Leech too. I know. Exalted Artifice lets us increase that 2 names. So here's how to view it. Grand Artifice guarantees that there'll be a name on there. Just any name. Just any old name. Whole bunch of random names. You look at that chart, there's a ton of them. So you're just pretty much burning a charge at that point, because you're not going to get what you're looking for. I mean, you could roll for 1,000,000 years. Good luck. Okay. Inspired Artifice means that we can choose it. All right. Animated of Haste. Okay. We're in the right ballpark now. We're in the right zip code. Okay. This doesn't mean we're going to get exactly what we want, which is SSI, but it puts us in the right zip code, the right chance to get it. Okay. So Exalted Artifice is when you want 2. You want 2 names on it. You want 2 pools to draw from. So Exalted Artifice just means there'll be a second name on there. Does it mean that'll be both Animated of Haste? No. It means that you can get it from anywhere. It could be any bracket. Okay, we don't want any bracket. We wanted, what do we say? We wanted Mystic of Sorcery. Sublime Artifact. Correction, Sublime Artifice. Look at that. Now we get to choose which zip code we want the other one in. Click on that. Mystical Sorcery. Golly, look at them charges. 5. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. These runic tools, you usually need a lot of them. Especially if you're looking for in-game stuff, you want a lot of them. Now we're talking in-game stuff. We're talking this is the creme de la creme, okay? For the majority of your crafting, you'll most likely just be in the imbuing range, like that's 60% and lower. Just a rough number, easy numbers. Okay, when you're doing this reforging, you're in that higher tier. Okay, so I'm just giving you this information because this is where you can get really lost in the weeds if you don't know what you're doing. I'm burning through all these runic tools, I'm not getting what I want. Well, have you selected which name you want? Because if you're just doing this, you could reforge all day and not get what you want. Okay, you can do this. You're just getting 1 name. Pick what you want. Great, you're halfway there. You gotta bump up to these, and now you're looking for what you need. Now you have a chance. And even then, it'll be a process. It's a rewarding process, and that's why you see things selling for, private deals selling for 1 mil, 2 mil, 3 mil. Like, that's the kind of numbers we're talking about. We're not talking about, I'll pay you, 40K for this. No, we're talking about big numbers here. Crafting is a low-key moneymaker, and when you have this knowledge, you're halfway there to that money. The investment cost of these runic tools is nothing compared to the investment of knowledge that you're gaining right now. So we're in the right zip code. We're in the right ballpark for this stuff. Okay, we have our runic tool. We have charges. We have the name selected. We know what we want. This is the first process. This is only step 2 of 5. But this is the most, don't be discouraged, because this is the most time-consuming process of them all. This is the reforging. Don't worry. I'm still with you. I'm still with you. We're doing it. You're getting there. We're almost done with the hard stuff. Reforge item. What did it do? What happened? That means we applied those 2 brackets to the item, which is right here. You want to see it? Want to see what we got? Yuck. That's not what we wanted, is it? Oh, we got stamina regeneration in there. We got mana regeneration in there. That's not what we wanted, is it? No, it's not. So what do we have to do now? What do we have to do? We have to go over here. What we're going to do, we're going to walk over here. We're going to very politely open up this trash bin and very respectfully chuck out the trash. Gone. Yeah. And he forged anew. Now, it helped if I'd taken my own advice and forged another one, right? I'm going to do that right now. I'm just going to go over the process of how it looks like. Kana. Right iron. Yep. And go back over here. Make sure that's exceptional. If you're not 100%, you can absolutely forge without being, super high on blacksmithing. You can do it. It's advised that you level up your blacksmithing. It's too easy to do that. That's a different class. Just not even a class. It's like UOGuide.com. Just get it up there as high as you can. And we got the exceptional again, right? So look at that. Oh, we used 5 charges of the Shadow Runic Hammer. That's fine. Click on it. Click it on again. Look at that. Boom. The names still stay. Now, when you burn up that runic tool, you'll have to reselect those names. So just be mindful whenever you burn through a hammer. When you burn through a runic tool, you'll have to reselect those names. So if you burnt through it, like for instance, if this was a new hammer, I would just click on it like that, and then grand bump. Look at that, and those would be blank. So you would just go back and reselect what those are. So we're gonna reforge it again. Dex bonus, mana increase. Not great, not bad, not what we're looking for. Okay. Say for instance, this guy was, for whatever reason, he just wanted those 2 on there, and that's by themselves. Then we would continue to reforge and get what we want. But say for instance, if he's just looking for, give me that SSI, that mana leech. And anything else, dex bonus is fine. Dex bonus is absolutely fine for a dexer. Mana increase is completely fine. Okay, for our example, I'm just showing you the reforging, so you don't have to worry about, making things too standard, right what the customer ordered. But we as we can see here, dex bonus 3, mana increase 3. That's good. That's good for a dexer. That's good. That's not bad. Obviously, it's not what we're looking for, but we can work with this for the example. For the training anyway. So let's see, what have we covered? We've covered how to reforge. We've covered what tools, that's what it looks like, a runic hammer. There are other runic tools per crafting discipline. There are runic tools for blacksmithing. There's runic tools for fletching, bow crafting. There's runic tools for carpentry. Okay, here's the difference. Big disclaimer. UOAlive, this shard has the carpentry runic tools available by the bod system in the crafting, or in the carpentry bod system. If you play outside of UOAlive, guys, got 8 points for cleaning that up. You'll get a lot of cut points too. Don't worry. If you're playing outside UOAlive, then your carpentry runics come from Heartwood. Ugh. Heartwood quests. Yeah, don't get me started on that one. That makes no sense. But here in UOAlive, The UOAlive team has done us a solid. You can get those runic tools through the bod system or from a bodsman like myself, and you can get them through that way. It's a lot easier. Tailoring has its own runics. Continuing on, like each crafting discipline has its own runics, except tinkering, because no one does runics through tinkering. There's no point in it. Okay, so we've covered over we covered why we would reforge. So you can't reforge that because we've already reforged it once. We've covered the menu. We've covered the names. Okay, it would behoove you to pull, whenever you're about to reforge something, for whatever reason, doesn't matter, to pull up that website and to go off of uo.com, go off the runic reforging names by properties. Something that we didn't cover that we'll cover now with the ringmail sleeves, and I won't take as much time with the process because we've already been through the process once with the katana, but I'm going to show you how it's different for the ringmail sleeves, not specifically just the ringmail sleeves, but more specifically the type of gear that you are reforging. Okay, so if you look over by that website, see see weapon, you see armor, you see shield. Okay, well, ringmail sleeves, is that a weapon? No. Is that a shield? No. That's an armor. So what we mean by that is no longer, if you look at animated of haste, no longer is the stamina leech and the swing speed increase available to us. Can't put it on there. Nope. No, sir, you can't. Armor, what's under armor? No additional properties. That's going to be a good thing and a bad thing, depending on what we want on it. Do we want dex on that piece of armor? If so, great. We've just eliminated 2 names from it. So now we have a pool of 3. We can get 3 things on there. What do the client want? Dex and mana. Dex being animated of haste. That's a common one you'll see. Animated of haste, by the way, guys, it's a common one. Stamina is good for dexters. They want the reason why that it's good for dexters is because it all comes down to swing speed. The higher the stamina, the faster the swing speed. You want to get about that 1.25, but that's kind of getting into the weeds a little bit. But just so you guys understand why animated of haste comes up so much is because that's a common one, as is mana leech. So animated of haste, first name. Let's just start back from the base bones. Runic hammer. Go to the sleeves. Grand, inspired, exalted, sublime. Animated of haste. That's what we want. Check mark. What's the second one? The second one he wanted was mana. Okay, well, mana what? Mana increase, mana regen? Hey, dude, what'd you want? Oh, I wanted a mana increase. Okay. So we're gonna look at what has mana increase. We have, well, Mystic of Sorcery has low mana increase. Arcane of Wizardry has mana increase. What else has mana increase? That's it. But once again, kind of look at the different brackets. What's the difference between Mystic of Sorcery and Arcane of Wizardry? Okay, well, we're making armor, right? So we look at Mystic of Sorcery. We have, of course, all types. That means intel bonus is in there. Lower mana cost is in there. Lower mana cost is not bad for starting suits, by the way. Mana increase, that's what we want. Mana regen, not what we want. That's still good. Go over to armor. What other names are we throwing in the hat? No additional properties. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that we're not adding any other names into the hat. So that means we have a 1 in 4 chance of getting that mana increase. Cool. Okay, we look at Arcane of Wizardry. We have intel bonus. We got lower mana cost, mana increase, mana regen. Sound familiar? Okay, well, we look over at armor. What do we got in armor? Casting focus? Lower regen cost? We don't want that for dexing at all. That's not what the guy wanted. Plus, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what's he doing? Saving his gold on chivalry? No, we want all types. We're just using all types, and we want to limit the amount of random fat that we are adding to that piece of gear. So we are at Mystic of Sorcery. Agreed? Agreed. Okay. So did he want 2 things on there, or did he want 1 thing? He wanted 2 things on there. So we're at Animated of Haste. Okay, that's the name. That's the stat line. And then we have Mystic of Sorcery. Boom, look at that. It's already on there. It's almost like I planned this. Almost like I planned this. Anyway, enough of that. All right, 5 charges. Ouch. 5 is a common number you'll see on Runix. Yep, 5 is a common number. That's a common number. So just keep that advised. You know, if you're using 5 charges, that's normal. That's normal. Nothing wrong with it. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not doing anything wrong by making a bunch of katanas. You're not doing anything wrong burning through a bunch of runics. You're doing nothing wrong. Okay? As long as you're making sure you're using the right options under the runic crafting options, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just a number. It's just grinding. It's just grinding what you need. Just grinding away at what you need. That's all it is. Let's reforge it. Let's see what we get. Oh, look at that. Dex bonus, mana increase. Wow. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Mana increase 6, dex bonus 3. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'll buy that for $1. Okay. So, really not a lot of fat on there, right? Got dex bonus, that helps out the dexer. Mana increase, that's what he wanted. That's actually I think no, that is not just what that's exactly what he wanted. That is a win. That's a good roll. Thank you, God. Okay. We wanted him that one. Yeah, couldn't have been better. Let's see. I'm just gonna go over to my go to my chat real quick, see if we have any questions. I haven't asked for questions in a while. So, oh, sorry, gymnastic goldfish. Well, does this work? Can you guys see this now? No? Does that work? Someone say yes. No? Yes, no, maybe so. Moving on. Too late, you had your chance. I think it could be if I clicked on it anyway. It's fine. You know what they can do, Goldfish? They can just pull up the website and follow along with the video. That's what they can do. Oh, you pulled it up? Sweet. This is why Goldfish is awesome. He's got my bag. And Ragnall's here too. Also, Ragnall, what the heck, man? Get them from the Stone Exchange? Pause. Okay, powder of fortifying, if y'all didn't know, comes from the blacksmith bod system. And it is sold by yours truly for 5k less than the Stone Exchange. Thank you, Mr. Ragnall. I'm hurt. I'm hurt, man. Cut me deep. But seriously though, you can make your own powder of fortifying. You don't have to spend your sovereigns. You don't have to spend your gold either. You know, I mean, that's the thing. There's a lot of crafters out here that don't even talk to me, and that's completely fine. It's not that they don't talk to me because they don't want to talk to me. I mean, in terms of business terms, they make their own runics and they make their own powder of fortifying. That's completely fine. As long as you have a system that works for you, then run it. But you don't have to go and spend your sovereigns on the powder of fortifying. You can make that by yourself with using the bot system. And you can also, what you also can do is that if you were going to buy it, for instance, if you were going to buy runics from me, if you want to buy runics from somebody else, if you want to buy, powder of fortifying from me or somebody else, you add that into the cost of the gear. So a little bit of business knowledge there. Don't eat that. Don't eat that cost. Okay? Pass that cost on to the customer. The customer will pay a worker with his wages. So perfect. It's just, it takes however much powder, and we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but I'm just talking about it now. If you take cost, add that cost to the price. Okay? The way I sell things, the way I do things is I don't add percentages onto the cost of making the gear. Okay, that means I don't add. Okay, so if powder of fortifying costs me X amount, I'm not going to add X plus 20%. What I do is I charge something called labor. So if you take your car into the mechanic shop, right, he charges you for the parts, the cost of the parts, right, and then he charges you something called labor. That's what I do. I think I don't make a lot of custom suits, cheap custom suits, I should say. So it's just a little bit of savvy knowledge you can add. You can add the price of what you are worth, what your time is worth, because your time is money, right? You're investing yourself. Like, as we saw this entire runic reforging process, you're investing yourself, you're investing your time, you're also investing your resources. Charge them the cost always. Make up your money on the labor. Don't get too greedy. You don't want to be dishonorable. You don't want to be disreputable, but be upfront with your labor costs. If it's a big job, charge a big labor fee. It's your time, man. Your time is valuable. You're valuable. Don't sell yourself short. There's other business models out there. That's one that works for me. If you want to make your own, by all means, but always keep track of the cost. Always keep track of the cost. You don't want to sell something for 200,000 if you burned 500,000 worth of resources on it. That's bad. Don't do that. Don't do yourself like that. There's no reason to do yourself like that. You're worth more than that. Okay, enough of that. All right, so we've gone through the reforging process. We got that bomb of a sleeve. I couldn't have planned that better. Yeah, couldn't have planned that better at all. Good grief. I'm happy about that sleeve. And we got a decent sword. Not exactly what we were looking for, but the guy's not picky. He's cutting us a break. He gets you guys are in learning. Your crafter's in learning. He's cutting you a break on that. Just imbue it. Just imbue it on there. I'm not too worried about it. That's what he's saying to us. Thanks, dude. Whatever your name is. Imaginary. Okay, so we've walked through forging. We've walked through reforging. Step 1, step 2. What's next? Enhancing. Oh my god. Okay, just by a quick show of hands, who's walked through this or who has followed me through this process? Because not everyone was by the forging, not everyone's by the soul forge. It's completely fine. The participation is not compulsory. Just curious on who has what I have or who has close to what I have with items. Is anybody? Has anyone reforged? Has anyone walked through the reforging process who's sitting here in the room? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Just listening in, that's fine. No worries there. Absolutely listen in. Yep, that's fine. Just watching, listening. Okay. I just want to make sure, because if you guys were working through me on the process, there's a little some extra tools in the toolbox that I can give you guys. Everyone should have their goodie bag. Everyone should be set. Everyone's got their runic tools. Everyone's got their materials. But when it comes to enhancing, that's like the final. That's like if you were walking out of a cave. That's like if you were walking, or I should say, if you're walking through a railroad track. Reforging is like dodging the trains. And when you get to enhancing is like when you're getting to the end of the tunnel and there's like a gorilla with a baseball bat waiting for you there. That's exactly that's what enchanting is. The enchanting is the gorilla holding the baseball bat at the end of the tunnel with a flashlight looking for you. Enhancing is it's a natural part of the game. It is a stupid part of the game, but it's a natural process of the game. There are ways we get around it. So the reason that I'm making such a big deal about enhancing is that if you don't do it properly, you will lose your piece of gear. Big disclaimer. Goldfish, can you put like a big warning sign there or something? You will lose your piece of gear if you don't enhance properly. Okay? It's called critical failure. There is a percentage of critical failure when you enhance. Okay? You don't burn through you don't just burn through your resources. You just don't reset it back a couple of points. You don't, no. The gear goes away. The gear disappears. It burns up. It's gone. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Okay? That's important for you guys to understand, is that when you enhance, there is a danger. There is a direct danger to your gear. Okay? We can influence this by a few things. Okay? We can influence this. The difficulty is one. Okay, so what are we reforging it with? Or, excuse me, what are we enhancing it with? Well, we're enhancing it with, there's another link I'm going to send you. It's called material bonuses. Each material has a property to it. So here's a link. Boop. UO.com. Nothing custom, nothing homemade. It's all UO.com. And we look at, pull it up, material bonuses. Goldfish, if you can be a bro and pull that up on your screen or something, just for the video. Material bonuses. Okay, so we're gonna zip down to, let's enhance our katana first. So that means what? Is that armor? No. Is that weapon? Yes. Okay. We look at the different ore types. So of course we got dull copper, shadow, copper, bronze, golden, agapite, varite, valerite. Each one does a specific thing. Each one does it differently. So let's say our client comes back to us and says, "Oh, have you enhanced yet?" "Oh, not yet." "Oh man, can you put some fire damage on there? I kind of want to do something for a champion run or whatever." Cool, bro. There's no problem. You looking for a lot? No, just a little bit. That's fine. Just a little bit. Okay, 40% would do it. Okay, 40%. 40% fire damage. Okay, well, what's 40% fire damage? Where does that come from? Okay, well, it comes from bronze. Okay, what is this? What does these other numbers mean? 20%, 10%, durability. What does all this mean? What does all this mean? Okay, well, this means you are enhancing the weapon. So you see how on my screen, you're looking at physical damage 100%. Physical damage. Oh, physical damage. Yeah. Okay. Most of the mobs have a pretty high physical damage resistance. Okay. So when we're matching, and this is kind of getting a little bit advanced, but I think you guys are ready for it. You guys did a great job reforging. You did a great job listening in for forging. I think that we're ready for a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. When you are making higher end weapons, like I'm sure we've all heard of Slayer weapons. Well, what are Slayer weapons? Slayer weapons are weapons that are designed, that have a Slayer key tag on them, to deal more damage to a specific enemy. So a Demon Slayer. Oh, what's a Demon Slayer good for? It's good for slaying demons, dude. Like, wake up. What are Super Slayers? Super Slayer, what's a Super Slayer? Super Slayer. So if a demon is a specific, or let's use a more common thing. If a here we go. Here's one I just did recently. Repond Slayer. What's a repond? Repond is UO's fancy word of saying humanoid. Okay, so like Ratman. So like, what else? Let's think. And where will we find this? What am I doing right now? Riddle me this. What am I doing right now? I am going on Google and looking at Repond Slayer. I can't tell you how many times I look up keywords, because there's nothing worse than putting something on your gear thinking it does something else, and it doesn't. It does something different. It ain't what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that it just ain't so. Okay, that is a Mark Twain quote, and I love that for crafting. Oh, this does that. Are you sure about that? No. Don't. Yeah, exactly. Right. Ragnall knows it because Ragnall's a legend. We're not legends just yet. I'm most certainly not a legend. But we Google Repond Slayer. This is what's called a Super Slayer. We're kind of getting off in the weeds a little bit. That's all right. Stay with me. Stay engaged. Okay, we look at all the things the Repond slays. Okay, what is a Repond Slayer? Well, it has Goblin Slayer, it has Orc Slayer, Ogre Slayer, Troll Slayer, Vermin Slayers. That's a lot of Slayers. So we have all these different Slayers bundled up in one cool package called a Super Slayer. And a Super Slayer is exactly that. Our Repond Slayer group is a Super Slayer to all humanoid creature types. Slayer does double damage. Sweet. Okay, well, what does a Lesser Slayer do? A Lesser Slayer is specific to all the little small brackets in here, like Goblin Slayer, Orc Slayer, Ogre Slayer, Troll Slayer. Do we use a lot of Lesser Slayers? Are we that finite? No, not really. You know how many times I've made a Lesser Slayer with what that does triple damage? Oh, triple damage, right? Whoa! Not really that much at all, man. Most of us spend time in the double damage. Most of us are happy with the double damage. If you're looking for Lesser Slayers, you'll be carrying around a lot of weapons as a Dexter, dude. A lot of weapons. A lot of spellbooks. Most people, in fact, the vast majority, 99% of people, do the Super Slayers. That is the Repond Slayers. The big bracket. So I say all that to say this. Why are we on this? Why are we on this Slayer talk? Because we're talking about damage types. Okay? So we're talking about enhancing. We're talking about changing the damage type of the weapon. Why would we want to do that? Because we want to match the damage type that we're doing with the least amount of enemy resistances. Pretty much everything in the game has pretty high physical damage resistance. Okay? So that 100% physical damage resistance, is that good? Not really. No, most of the stuff resists that. Okay, what do we want? Okay, what is a Ratman weak against? What is perfect example? Despise champ, right? Despise champ up. Okay, what are they most of them are? What are most of those mobs? What are most of those Vermintide-esque creatures weak to? Cold. So we want a Repond Slayer on there. What else do we want to do? We want to change that physical damage 100% to cold damage. How do we do that? Well, we just go over to our little fancy dancy enchanting window here. And we see material bonuses give us, oh, shadow, 20% cold. You don't have to, and I know people say, oh, 100% elemental weapons. That's kind of getting off a little bit of weeds. You can look up 100% elemental weapons on your own. That's, homework if you choose. Very popular. Pain in the butt to make. Gonna go through a lot of shit because you have to reforge that. You have to reforge 100% elemental damage weapons. Okay, I'm not gonna backtrack too quickly, but if we just look at that runic reforging, we scroll down to the reforging properties by name again. Goldfish, sorry, I know you're trying to keep up, bud. Okay, what gives us elemental damage? That's what we want. That's what we want, right? Exquisitive quality. So we would do exquisitive quality plus something else that gives us elemental damage. That bumps us up to like, how much? How much do we need? Well, it depends on what damage type we're looking for. We look back to the material bonuses. Well, I can do 40% damage on 40% more fire damage on bronze. So you see how it kind of synergizes, right? You kind of see well, we don't need to get a perfect reforge. We have enhancing right here. Just get what you need. Don't be greedy. Don't burn through all your runic tools going for that 100% if you can enhance it to 100. As you're looking on the page, you can see some more stuff too. Luck, lower requirements. No one uses lower requirements unless it's very specific. Don't worry about that. Durability, we don't want that. Why do we want durability? We have powder of fortifying. That's our next step. Don't worry about durability. Just not yet anyway. Special jobs. Obviously, there's going to be some guy in the back saying, actually, you need... This isn't that part of the class, okay? We're just going for basic stuff. Even though we're talking about Slayer weapons, okay? I consider Slayer weapons a great beginning kind of understanding of the game. Understanding what's weak against some stuff. Comparing damage types to Slayer types. That's information that you now have that a lot of people in this game just don't have. Oh, I smack away the Thor real good, boss. Okay. Yeah, good point. Yeah, Rydnell's mentioning that paladins have consecrate weapon, which is like having an elemental weapon. The reason why he says that is because consecrate weapon changes your weapon type to the least amount of resistances the creature has. So if a Ratman has like really, really low cold, well then your consecrate weapon changes your damage type to cold. And guess what? It does it automatically. Chivalry's boss. Yeah, Dexters are really strong in this game. Yeah, just kind of catching back on the chat a little bit. Ragnall's spitting pure gold. Talking about some Slayers. Imbuing Slayers is good. Takes up a lot of weight though. We'll talk about weight here in a bit. So anyway, back to step 3. We've gone off kind of explaining the why takes up the most part than just doing it. I can guarantee you that. And you can always go back to this video, reference it. Don't worry, still with you. We're almost through the dark part. So, what do we want to enhance it with? Well, the client told us about that 40%. Oh, nice to have some fire damage on it. Okay. So, what does that look like? Okay, well, it looks like we go over to our forge here. If you're by your anvil, which I see, the young player is. Of course, the young player is following along. That's awesome. Welcome, dude. Welcome. We'll have a special gift for you, Downway, by the way. So don't leave until. Is there any other new young players here? I'm not seeing anybody new, but yeah, we'll have a special gift for the young player. Don't leave before you talk to me. Right. Oh, yeah. I'm just so happy you're back, dude. All right, so we're looking at our screen here. Hello. And then we're looking at, what's this? Enhance item. Okay, so this is important. Enhance item. Okay, that's what we want to enhance. We want to enhance the katana with fire damage. Okay, where does that come from? That comes from bronze. So we click over here, go to bronze. Oh, we have 100 bronze already because I have a little goodie bag too. Look at that. So we're now enhancing this with bronze. That's important. Don't mess that up. Don't enhance it with something you don't mean to enhance it with. Otherwise, like if this was like that, the katana is not a very good example, but like the sleeves, how good we roll on the sleeves. Don't mess it up. Be deliberate. Be patient. It's all right. Take your time. So here we are. We're at the enhancing item stage. Okay, so there's some ways we can influence this, right? I told you about some ways to get around the gorilla holding a baseball bat, right? Okay, so our first step is with blacksmithing and blacksmithing alone. Okay, this is where UO retail teams kind of drop the ball a little bit. That UOAlive has done a good job in holding, but UO retail team has given us something called an ancient smithy hammer, and this hammer increases our skills by a lot. Look at that. Your skill in blacksmithing has increased by 60 and now 180. Okay, that absolutely takes into effect if we're enhancing. Okay, this is if we're doing it the old school way. If we're doing this is the way original. You do this thing. You do this original. Like you would enhance it. You have a chance for that gear to disappear when you're doing it this way. Obviously, the difficulty scales upward the further down this chart we're going. So Valorite, if you're enhancing with Valorite, you expect to lose your gear. Okay, expect to lose it because it's gonna happen. Even with this hammer, it's gonna happen. It's tough. This is old school MMO, guys. This isn't like Harvest Moon from GameCube. There's not a lot of grace here. So if you're doing it old fashioned, you're doing it old fashioned, and this is the way you're gonna do it. And expect to lose that gear the further down this tree you go. Now, if we're doing this with like bronze copper, or even our dull copper, if we're doing this with bronze, you know, we have some good chances. We have some good odds, especially with this hammer. By the way, this hammer comes from the bot system. I don't sell too many of these, but they are available. But if you don't have this and you're doing weapons, it's probably a good idea to pick that 60 up and to have 120 blacksmithing. By the way, blacksmithing 120 comes from the bot system as well. I sell them. You can do them yourself, wherever you need. Just those 120 skills come in effect hardcore when you're doing this kind of stuff, because the skill level absolutely matters for the enhancing. So I'm not going to do it the old school way. Why, Gunship? Because I'm going to go to UO store. I'm going to look at under miscellaneous. I'm going to look at forged metal of artifacts. Okay, obviously you see the price difference between the charges. One's 5 charges, one 10 charges. That number is important as well. If you're buying 5 charges, you're just better off buying 10, dude. You're saving 100 softs. But Gunship, I don't want to spend softs. I'm not telling you to spend softs. I'm just giving you another option than losing your gear through the enhancing process. And if you're not tracking, the ratio is 1,000 sovs is 1,000,000 gold. So one charge of forged metal artifacts, which one charge is all you need, and I'll show you why here in a second, that's 100,000 gold. Okay. Who incurs that cost? If you say anyone else but the customer, slap yourself. No, don't slap yourself. But for real, if you are doing later in your crafting career, when you're doing right now, when you're doing higher end pieces for higher end customers, 100,000, drop in the bucket. We're talking millions over here, guys. When you're crafting, when you are leveling up to that end game, and you will get there, and you'll get there faster than you think too. Okay, once your name starts spreading out there, you got some high end, some whale rolling through, needing some in game gear. 100,000 to him, talking about 100,000 is insulting. He's talking in millions. Okay, so past that charge, past that cost, include that into your cost. Don't eat that either. So here we have 100,000. Once again, I'm not charging him for using the forged metal of artifacts. I'm just conveying the cost over to him. It's easy. Okay. So if you're scared about this item, you're scared about clicking it, don't worry, I'll click it for us. What does that mean? What? The next time you try to enhance an item, all that number means, all that says is, yeah, it takes a charge. You know, kidding. Success rate 100%. Enhancing, losing your gear doesn't happen. And for that sleeve, I don't want to lose that. That's a really good roll. That's exactly what we needed. Okay. That katana, we'll see. We'll try it. Exactly. Yep. And Ragnall just put out a good point. The forged metal of artifacts will work with all crafting types, not just blacksmithy. So you know, remember what I mentioned about the ancient smithy hammer, that being the only weapon or the only thing in the crafting world that increases your stuff by 60. Okay, we don't have to worry about that when we have the forged metal. Don't worry. Pass that cost on to your customer. He'll pay for it if it's good. If you're doing good, if you're making starting suits and using the forged metal, then don't do that. I mean, but you know, these are tools in your toolbox. Okay, not every job requires a diamond tipped drill. Okay, you know what I mean? It sometimes it just takes a drill from Home Depot. Like you don't have to do all this fancy stuff to make yourself like a starting suit. No, don't do that. Don't blow all your money on starting suits. You know, apply the amount of effort, apply the amount of resources to the job that's required, and that experience will come in time. That'll come in time, and it'll also come from talking in the crafting channel. Like everybody here, like all this big pool of people we have, all talk in that crafting channel for the most part. So if you have a question, ask. But yeah, don't be blowing that metal on just any old thing. Save that for your good stuff. Save that for the good jobs. So I'm not going to use the forged metal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to instead enhance without any help. So if I'm just Mr. Blue trying to, not Mr. Blue, that's actually a person. I'll use something else. If I'm Mr. Orc trying to enhance this, I'm going to click enhance, bronze. Well, it worked that time. I was trying to get it to fail. That's all right. Look at that, 40%. Yeah, let's see that. Okay, let's look at it. So, what happened? What happened to the weapon? Okay, well, look at the physical damage, look at the fire damage. Are those stat lines? No, those aren't stat lines. That is not named. That's just the type of damage. That's separate. It's easy to get it confused because you're looking at the stat lines are right above it. Damage increases a stat line. That's a name. That's one of the 5 that we can put on a gear because it's limited to 5. You have 5 slots, a certain amount of weight. We're getting into that conversation soon. Imbuing will be fun. I guarantee you. But all that we're doing is just changing the type of damage. The type of damage is different than the stat lines. So we got physical damage, 60%. Fire damage, 40%. Whoa, nice. Okay, that's what the customer wanted. That's what he got. We enhanced, it survived. That's a win-win, okay? I am not about to take the chance of those sleeves, though. I'll tell you that right now. A good pair of sleeves. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click on it for us because if you're scared, I'm not scared. Boom, look at this, okay? We just did it. A magical aura surrounds you when you feel your next item enhancing attempt will most certainly be successful. Yeah, no kidding. We just paid 100,000 for it. I hope so. So what do we do? It's still gonna take bronze. We're gonna enhance. Click. And we're gonna enhance the sleeves. Well, before I do that, sorry, didn't mean to tease you there a little bit, but something that's important without mentioning. Weapons. Look at weapons. Look at this different stats on the weapons. Okay. Hey, look at armor. It's different. Oh yeah, it's different. Physical resistance, fire resistance, cold resistance, poison resistance, energy resistance, durability, luck. Yeah, those high-end luck suits. You're darn right you'll be referencing this chart. Let's look at the physical resistances. Okay, what's really high on the physical resistances? Dull copper. What's high on our fire resistances? Agapite. Okay, well, what's this? What's a piece of gear like this? What's this weak? Let's look back at my screen real quick. Come on. Sleeves of haste. Physical resistance 6. Fire resistance 11. Cold resistance. 3%. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Okay, it's not the end of the world. Sometimes you'll have resistances that are a little wonky, depending on what you're reforging. Okay. Because you have to remember, this gear has survived our reforging criteria. So our reforging cutting floor, it's survived. Okay, so we can be specific, but sometimes it's all right to be a little forgiving as well. So it survived our reforging cutting floor. It's about to pass through our enhancing cutting floor. But luckily, thanks to that forged in metal, I'm not saying you have to use it. I'm just saying it's a really great tool to save you a lot of time. can see kind of what it comes into in the suit. So we'll have low cold resistance. Okay. Can we imbue it? You can imbue it, Gunship. I know you can imbue it, but why waste a slot on that ring mail sleeve of haste when we could save that slot, save that weight for something else? Yes, imbuing resistances takes up a slot and it takes up weight. Gasp. Exactly. Yeah, that's the drafted reaction I was looking for. Okay, so just relying on imbuing to patch up this piece might not be the option, because yeah, the client only wanted 2 pieces, 2 stat lines. What if you wanted 4? What if you wanted 5? What if you're coming up on weight? What if you needed a certain breakpoint of stat and you wasted that on patching up your resistances? These questions to ask, things to think about. Does our client care? No, because he's imaginary. Duh. But it's something to think about. Don't wait for the imbuing phase to realize you're lacking on your resistances. And you can plug and play on these resistances, guys. You have an entire suit. So if you're weak on something, here's an option. How about you know, does everyone here know what a dump stat is? Dump stat is when you purposely tank a stat to make up for it later. So, for instance, if something's really low, other things are going to be higher. There's only so much number to plug and play on those resistance charts. So if we intentionally tank our suit low on cold, we can make up for it. All right, let me use another example. Let me back up a little bit. Okay, what gives physical resistance? 10. Just using this as an example. If we were to tank our armor, so going back to step 1, as we're forging it, what if we accepted all the pieces of armor that were really low on physical resistance? Where could we really make up ground on physical resistances? By enhancing. So we intentionally roll low on physical resistances. What can we do to compensate? Dull copper? Physical resistance 10? Works for me. I buy it for $1 plus 50. Durability's not really that big of a deal, but still, I mean, it's something to think about. Plus, it's dull copper. Dull copper's cheap. Stuff to think about. What other what other resistances do we have to play with? 7 energy resistance. Shadow iron. Shadow iron looks cool too. No need to transmog that stuff. It looks pretty cool. What else has 7? What else has high numbers? Copper has poison. That's pretty good. We could tank poison starting out the gate and then make up for it in the enhancing. It's copper. And you can dye copper too. Not a big deal. Agapite. 7 fire resistance. Looks pretty cool. What if we just needed a lot of everything? What if we're just lacking on all of it? Valorite looks pretty good. 5, 4, 4, 4. What if we did this? What if instead of dumping a stat, we only accepted gear in the forging stage? Mind you, we're going back to step 1. What if we just accepted fire resistance, high fire resistance gear? And then not to worry, we'll just make it up with Valorite in the back end. See how we're playing with these resistance numbers? See how we're doing this? Like, I'm sure some people are sitting there like, oh, my brain hurts. Yeah, because it's the first time you're looking at it. Cut yourself some credit, man. It's the first time you're being exposed to some of this, potentially. But guys like Ragnall, this is their bread and butter. This is how a suit meshes. This is how it all comes together. When you plan for this stuff, it's not so much RNG when you think about it. Because what is crafting all about? Crafting is all about influencing that RNG. So see how we're influencing it from step 1? If I'm only accepting stuff with a high resistance and then making up for it with like Valorite, so everything that has to have a high fire resistance, so that then I can boost up everything else with Valorite enhancement. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. Sounds like a plan even. Anyway. Yeah, this has high fire resistance. Also has high poison resistance too. Look at some questions. Yeah, spreadsheet for balancing out resistances. There are tools out there. I don't have all the tools. I have some of them. Ragnall has a lot more than I do. Yeah, Ragnall's the guy. It's a big deal that he's coming back, gentlemen. If you're new to the crafting game, that man back there, it's a big deal he's coming back. Okay. We talked about resistances a lot. We've talked about how this enhancing thing comes in. By the way, if you're thinking this armor stuff looks crazy, don't worry. If you're more of a leather worker, you can scroll down. Leather types: spined, horned, barbed. Look at that. Spined has 9 physical resistance, 40 luck. Yeah, leather luck suits are a thing. Oh yeah. Horned, barbed. Look at that 5 energy resistance. That means that we can tank energy resistance and make up for it in barbed. See that a lot. Dragon scales, nobody cares. Kidding. But not really. Wood type, good luck. Leather and ore, that's my wheelhouse. Yes, he laughs in his Halder. He forgot to powder. I'm kidding, it's cosmetic. Don't look at his armor. Okay, so we talked about resistances. All right, so let's see. Okay, where did the new player go? Oh, did the new player leave? Hopefully not. Oh well, there goes the new player. I'll catch up with him later. So let's see. We are weak on cold. So just for the yeah, there's a perfect document Ragnall just posted. So just for the example that we're going to use, I'm going to go ahead and enchant this with, or excuse me, enhance this with cold resistance. So can anyone tell me what's the highest cold resistance on the chart? Anybody? Bueller? Bronze. Look at that. Poland coming in clutch. I don't know what Bretonics is, Door to Eden, but sounds good to me. Edit. I saw that edit. Okay, bronze. Cold resistance 7. Physical resistance 3. Poison energy 2. We're looking for those big numbers. Looking to even it out. Enhancement. Bronze. Oh, how do I know if I put the Forged Metal of Artifacts on yet? Don't just double click it, dude. It'll tell you. Do you want to remove it? No. Right click that crap. Enhance. We need some bronze. You can enhance it. Go over to it. You enhance the item with properties of the special material. Look at that. Cold resistance 10. Really no gaps in that. Really no gaps at all. Okay. But Gunship, how do I know if all my resistances are... Like, how do I find these out? Do I need a huge spreadsheet? I'm getting undressed for a reason. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, well, what does that mean? What did I do? I just put on the gear, right? I just put on the suit. Okay, well, what do I do here? I go to bracket, left bracket, my stats, enter. Stat gump. Look at this. Okay, strength, dex, intelligence. Yeah, I'm an orc. That's why the karma's low. Go figure. LRC. Why do I have LRC from? Oh, the ring. I was going to say, yeah, make sure to take all that off too. If you're looking for pure. Now I can see. Take out the talisman too. Now I can see exactly what I'm getting from my suit. This is why a lot of people run humans. A lot of crafters run humans so they can put on the gear. If you're a gargoyle trying to do this, you would have to alter it first. Or sometimes you can't even alter the piece of gear you're working on. You would need a spreadsheet. Exactly. So look at damage increase, stamina, mana. What am I looking for though? I'm looking for, on the weapon, if I can mouse over it, dex bonus, mana. Okay, let's look. Dex, I can see that there. Mana, I can see that there. What do we got here? Dex and mana as well? Hang on. Yeah, okay. Good deal. Yeah, I see it. Lots of dex, lots of mana. Not bad for a dexer. Not bad for a starting suit. Client's going to be happy. Okay, what happens if I take something off? Does this update? No. How do I update it? Refresh. Oh yeah, it's all coming together, ain't it? Yeah. Get out of that. Get my clothes on, you perverts. Why are you looking? This is why I wear a costume. Kidding. I like my costume. Okay. That's that. Okay, so we've enhanced. Step 3 complete. Okay. Where are we at? Step 1, forging. Check. Step 2, reforging. Check. Step 3, enhancing. Check. What's next? Imbuing. What are we forgetting? What did Aldor forget? I'm kidding. I'm teasing on him because he's my apprentice. Powder. Powder, 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 powder. Write this down. Please write this down. Step 1, forging. Step 2, reforging. Step 3, enhancing. Step 4, powdering. The moment you click on imbuing and hit imbue on that gear, and that imbue key tag populates on that gear, you can no longer powder it. That gear is stuck at a low durability. Goldfish, can you put another warning label on there, man? I appreciate you, bro. Do not imbue before you powder. Always powder before you imbue. It is critical that you remember this. Can't wait to put stats on my... No. No, 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 no. I want to see if it'll fit. No, 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 no. I want to see the weights. Let me show me the weights. Show me the property tags. No. Don't click imbuing until you've powdered. You will forget. I've forgotten. Ragnall's forgotten. I'm telling you, the OGs are telling you, don't even touch the imbuing button before that thing's reading 255. I'm yelling at you. I'm yelling at you because I'm trying to convey the pain that we crafters have experienced by getting that perfect reforge. Not even that, getting that perfect forge, getting that perfect reforge, getting that perfect piece of gear that sits so comfortably in that entire suit spreadsheet. Getting that imbue, blowing through hundreds and hundreds of thousands of gold in imbuing ingredients, and then look down and see durability 59. Oh my God. That gear has become worthless. No one will buy that from you. And if they do, you're screwing them over. Don't even click on that imbuing button until you powder. Yeah, I wasn't going to share that right now, but since Ragnall shared it, I'm going to say for everyone in the watching the video right now, this is the stuff that happens when you look into imbuing before you powder. A max lux suit. We're talking millions of gold value, millions of gold value on this lux suit. Okay, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands. We're talking in the high hundreds of thousands mark that this cost to make. Imbued it, forgot to powder. 50 billion on each, or 50 durability on each piece. That's a worthless suit. We're talking that suit was well over 2 million, and now it's completely worthless. All that time, all that effort, all that, not just the suit cost, not just the cost of the piece, but the cost of all the failures leading up to that point. Don't even think about imbuing before you powder. What? That's it right there. Powder or fortifying. Don't forget. Don't forget me. That's what he's saying. Don't forget me, dude. It will burn your butt. Will burn your butt. So, what does that look like? Are you scared to touch it? Shouldn't be. It's just powder. It's cheap. 30K for 10. That's the going price on it. Don't buy from the soft store. Shameless plug. Okay, so let's look at our gear. Okay, so we got 59 durability. First off, what does powder even do? What is powder? Let's click on it. What does it do? You successfully use a powder on the item. Okay, thanks, dude. What does that mean? Did anyone catch that? What changed? What changed on the gear? Dealer? Yeah, that's right. Durability. Durability changed. What's the highest for you whiz heads in here? What's the highest durability we can get on a gear? 255. Perfect, man. We got some smart boys in here. 255. That's a lot of max, and that's here's the thing. That's not normal durability. That's your maximum durability. Okay, I made a suit, and just give you a reference. Well, 255 durability, is that really important? It is. It's not armor, your suit per se, and this is a melee dexer, mind you. So I'm taking a beating every day. Every time I get on, taking a beating. Repairing that, keeping it repaired. That's another important thing to tell your clients. Repair your stuff, dude. Because the moment it drops to 0 on that left bracket, it starts taking it out of the max bracket. And whenever you repair from, like, I would say good numbers around 50, less than 50, around that 50 mark, even lower if you're tracking it, it takes 1 repair point. It takes 1 max durability point. So it goes from 155 to 154 and repairs it to full. If you're using correct legendary repair, always be using legendary repair stuff for your job. Tell your clients that too. Your wealth of knowledge that you're providing to them only goes to increase your value to that player, to that client, because he understands your game knowledge is growing. Even now, it's growing. So the more game knowledge you have, the more wisdom that you impart to your client and how to protect his gear that you've made for him, the more value that you have in his eyes or her eyes. And the next time they need a piece, who do you think they're going to come to? You. Money. Okay. Enough said. So, powder. Click, 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 click. 10 charges, 30K. Not a bad price. What does it get us? 30K just increased our max durability by, what, 130? Something like that? Yeah, 130. And then another charge, so 60K. 60K total gold cost, and you easily have a piece at 255 max durability. And that, and kind of going back to what I said before, that will take a beating for a long time. You're talking about a piece of gear that'll last you a long time. Shields taking the most beating. I've never broken a shield. Not at 255. Question was asked by Arbiter. For those who sell suits, do you powder the cheaper suits all the way to 255, or do you stop a little short for a value suit? It's up to you, man. I mean, powdering a full piece of gear, you're thinking 60K per piece. That's tough to sell at a 55K to 80K range. You've already blown your budget. And no one's selling starting suits for like 300K, I'll tell you that right now. Starting suits are good for just that, starting players. Don't powder your starting suits. Your stuff? Absolutely. Expensive stuff? You better. Client's gonna spit in your face if you give him some 55 max durability piece of gear. You're like, what is this? Did you forget to powder? Yeah, don't be that guy. Be honest. Okay. So we talked about powdering. Good point that Ragnall brought up in the chat. Use POF on your crafter. You gain a slight bonus to the amount you add to durability if you have skill in the relevant crafting type. It's good to know. It's good to know. So if you're powdering your own gear, swap to your crafter. But just also know that once you imbue, POF's done. Got what you got, and that'll be the end of it. All right, enough about powdering. Very simple, very easy to miss. Don't forget to powder. Starting suits, don't bother. Everything else, you better powder. Better powder or fortify. Do not forget that, or that suit's just worthless. Okay, I think I beat that drum enough. Yeah, goldfish, 6 minutes till 2 hour mark. Yeah, dude. Told you to be a long class. I've been talking for a while. But anyway, if you don't have any questions, please ask. Ragnall's been backing me up on the chat log. It's great. Whoa, 3 people are typing. Lots of questions. What do we got? Yeah, what's up, Ragnall? Talking for 2 hours. Oh my gosh. We're almost done, guys. We're almost done. If a fly has no wings, is it called a walk? I'm gonna walk over there and slap you. I'm kidding. I love you, dude. For real. I'm so glad you're coming back. So glad. So, I mean, I'm telling you guys, all you new crafters out here, right now coming back is a big deal. You will feel that in the economy. And in the knowledge, the game knowledge will increase as well. When a big crafter takes a break, people feel it. The economy shifts. And not in a good way. Okay. Ready for imbuing. Okay. Where is my katana? Oh, I'm holding it. That's funny. Don't judge me. You'll do the same thing too. And we just won't be around to laugh at you. Imbuing. All right, guys. This is the imbuing menu. If you've been following along, which I don't think any of you guys have, but that's fine. It kind of makes it easier that way. We're not all cluttered around this thing. Target the item you wish to imbue. I want to imbue this. Okay, what do we want to imbue it with? Well, honestly, we're at the client's specifications. He wanted Dex and mana. What else do we want to add? Well, what does the client want? We got options, man. So as a Dexer, let's think about it. As a Dexer, what would he want? Let's look at all our stuff. Okay. Well, let's say, oh no, after all my yeah, exactly, stamina. Yeah, stamina increase. Well, let's use this example. So this is a perfect time when you put on this suit, you put it on like I did, type in my stats. Okay, you pull up the window, you double click here, see all those stats. So those were at 70, and let's see, where are we weak on? Energy resistance is 64 or 65. Let's say it's 65 out of 70. I'm 5 points short. All right, dude, that's fine. Nothing wrong with it. Just energy, just like that. Boom. We just add it on there. How many points do you need? Big disclaimer. At 4%, that's not 4% adding. That's the overall number. You can subtract from your gear as well. Let's look at the screen real quick. Why would we subtract from our gear? Look at that property weight. You see what that property weight means? That means your property weight, your weight is equivalent to your intensity. The number. Okay? 10 mana regeneration is a weight. There is a weight added to the gear. Okay? So if we were... So we're putting this up to 8, as it is right now. It's a 156 weight. Alright. Cool. That's a combination of dex, that's a combination of mana, that's a combination of all the stats. So what are we going to do? What do we say? We increase it by 5? So we first start off with baseline, because that is not A+. Once again, not A+. That is more than that. Or that is the overall number. So if we were at, is it +4? No, that is at 4. What I mean by that, if we were to click imbue now, that energy resistance would go from 8 down to 4. That's not what we want. Oh, and by the way, it takes a property as well. Double slap in the face. We can fix that if we wanted to change energy. If we set it to 4, we could fix it. But once again, the time imbued not really becomes a huge factor, but it can, especially if you're coming at, in-game stuff. We want to add that by 5. So we're at 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 13%. Let's see, we got a 109% chance. Yeah. Rydnall also said, don't be on autopilot and imbue the wrong resistance. No kidding. Autopilot is a very bad thing to do while crafting. It's great for your running treasure maps. It's bad to do if you're crafting. You will bite your butt. What do we need? Magical residue? How do we get magical residue? By imbuing, unravel item, unravel container. All the unravel container and unravel item means is that you can unravel items individually, or you can throw all your junk magical items. So all your looted gear, major artifacts, greater magical item, minor magical item. How you get those is the minor magical item drops the magical magical residue. I think it's major, greater, and lesser magical item drops, I believe, the enchanted essence, and then your artifacts drop relic fragments. That's how you get it. Yeah, autopilot mode is when you're watching TV or talking to somebody else on the phone and you're clicking stuff without thinking about it. Bad thing to do. Don't do it. Don't do it. It'll hurt you. Okay. This is turning into more like a podcast, Goldfish. I think that's what we're doing. This is a podcast. This isn't a YouTube video anymore. Where it's transformed into something else. Anyway, unraveling item is how you get the magical residue and the relic fragments. Oh, this is not about to be a normal thing. I've talked for a long time. I've talked for a long time. This is not about to become a normal thing. Okay. So here we are, back to imbuing item. Let's go back. We're almost done. Focus, focus, focus. We're almost done. Drink some coffee. We're almost there. Energy resistance. We need that up. And that's not +4, remember. We're at baseline now. Okay, that's our weight. We can only fit up to 500 weight. Spread across 5 properties. See that? 3 properties? That is how many properties this gear will be. Once we add resistances. Resistances cost a property. Resistances cost a property. Whoever's making maps in the back, can you mute your mic? This ain't treasure map course. Fight you. Kidding. All right. 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. So remember what I'm saying about the resistances? Don't wait till the end to see how your resistances are turning out. Always be tracking that. Always have that in the back of your brain. And here's the thing. If you have a low property item, let that be the one you resistance up. You add that imbuing resistance up. Don't add resistance to your really tight, really barely, just barely against the property weight gear. Just the final property on this piece of gear. No, put it on the one that you can afford to use a property on. 1 or 2 is good. If all your suits have a property charge on it, you probably should have thought about that sooner. No, it's not the end of the world. Just do better next time. You can. I know you can. So, where are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're at 13. 189 out of 500. Plenty of room. That's perfect. Obviously, we want a little bit more from that Reforge to make it a perfect 500. So, let's imbue it. What happened? I want to amethyst. Yeah, we got enough. Let's do this again. Click on it. And then we're going to energy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're at 13%. Imbue. That's a good sound. The failure, not so good. Hum. We like the hum. We don't like the nails on the chalkboard. All right. Look at that. Energy resistance 13. That's exactly what we wanted. Okay, great. Haste going away, or the sleeves going away. But we can add so much more to it. Is that what the customer wanted? No, we got what the customer wanted. Why would we burn more stuff, adding more things when he didn't ask for it? I don't know. It's your call. If he wants to pay for a little bit more, add some more. Conversation. Imbue item. Katana. Okay, this one, we don't have what we need on it. We have some good stuff on it. Mana increased dex. What do we need on it? We need SSI and Mana Leech. What comes first? SSI or Mana Leech? I think Ragnar would know what comes first. Isn't there something along the lines of yeah, in correct me if I'm wrong, it's how much is taken away from SSI, or how much is taken away from Mana Leech if you don't add Mana Leech first? I don't have the rough numbers. I know it's Mana Leech first and then SSI. Waiting for the Ragnar to type. There is a process behind it, so it just be deliberate.
I don't know why I just don't talk. There is a percentage, but the actual percentage I don't know off the top of my head. If you imbue Mana Leech first and then add the SSI, you won't lose as much Mana Leech. So when you imbue SSI, it'll reduce the amount on leeches. Then it's all leeches that are affected except Stamina Leech, I believe. And then if you put the Mana Leech on first, then put the swing speed increase on, you won't lose as much on the Mana Leech. But I can't remember the exact percentages. I think it's about 20% or 30%, roughly.
Hope you're taking notes, gentlemen. Always Mana Leech before SSI. They don't tell you that in the brochure. A lot of this stuff is found out. Thanks, Randall. Appreciate you, man. Glad you're back. Really. Can't say that enough. Warms my heart. Okay, so we're going to hit effects. Hit Mana Leech. Okay. 2%? Nah. 62%? Void Orb, 10. I'll let you figure out how much Void Orbs cost. Those are expensive. We're not going to do that for this class. Custom job, maybe. Once again, pass that cost on along the customer. If he wants that extra 62%, it's a conversation to have. Our client, I asked him, he said, nah. He said, forget that. Okay, so what do we got? We got Magical Residue 4, Sapphire 9. See how we haven't come up on any of the super expensive mats on Imbuing? Because we're just 4 points away. If that's not something the client wants, don't force that on the client. Just be like, well, I can give you 56%. Okay, do it. All right, here we go. Hit Mana Leech. That's not a good sound, is it? No, it's not. So what do we do? Do we have to go through and reselect all of that? No, just re-imbue last. Repeat the last imbue attempt. Boom. No, that's because we don't have enough sapphires. Whose fault is that? Okay. Wrapping up, Jen. We're wrapping up. So I have enough sapphires. I need some more magical residue. And you see how this is much less painful? We don't lose the gear. The gear's still there. We have plenty of magical residue, or we should. Plenty of gems, or you should. So yeah, just re-imbue last. A beautiful sound. Mana Leech, 56%. Our client is happy. Okay, what else do we need? SSI, right? So we've done our Mana Leech. Mana Leech before SSI. Write that down. Combat. SSI. How much can we get on it? 30%. It's pretty good. I'm not going to do those essences of orbs or essences of order though. Those essences, all those essences of order, essences of whatever, all that comes from Stygian Abyss. Don't worry. Those are easy enough to get. You can grind for it, make your client grind for it if he wants to reduce the cost. Otherwise, you can just buy it off BS and transfer the cost over. Don't eat that. Okay, so we need relic fragments and tourmaline. Let's see. Success chance, 47.5%. We're probably going to need a little bit more than just one repetition of that. Tourmaline. I'm not gonna eat that much, but hey, it's good to always be prepared. Hopefully it's not that much. Nope, that's not wrong. That's the wrong one. Wake up, Gunship. Okay, that should be enough. All right. We have, yeah, just enough, 25%. That's what the client wanted. See that? 5 properties. We want to max out the properties with the total property weight. So always keep that in mind. You know, but don't overproduce what a client doesn't want. But just remember, if you're making 5 properties, you're making high-end suits like for yourself. Because ultimately, you'll want to make some good suits for yourself as well. You'll treat yourself with the knowledge you have now gained. Then you want those numbers to agree. You want the properties to be 5. You want that to be like 494, 495, like that sweet spot, like perfect agreement. Let's try it out. Ooh, look at that. First time. First time go. Look at that. Dexterity bonus, mana leech, or mana leech, dexterity bonus, mana increase, swing speed increase 25. I freaked out a little bit because I saw durability, but I realized we're in a class, so none of these numbers matter. Yeah. Okay, so Arbiter asked a great question. What mats are in danger of being lost on failures? Just your 2. Your basic gems and your basic gems and your basic mats. Your special resources like void orbs, raptor's teeth, the expensive stuff. You don't lose that. Don't worry. Imbuing is you've already run through the gauntlet. You've run through the gauntlet with reforging. You've run through the gauntlet with enhancing. And when you get to powder and you get to imbuing, it's okay. You breathe easy. You got this. Just don't be on autopilot. Do your thing, and your gear won't go away, and your hard-earned resources won't go away. But during that reforge, during that enhancing, think danger. Yeah, that's where a lot of your gear goes away. And that's part of forging as well, but it's not that big of a deal since forging is a very low entry fee on that. It's just iron ingots. Burn through a lot of those. Now when you're reforging and when you're enhancing, danger. That's going to be your big cost. Okay. Imbuing. Fix those resists if you need to. Customize as the client wants. And then charge appropriately. Tabulate the cost. Be polite, be professional, but be fair, both to the client and to yourself. Catch yourself a good business. Okay, any final questions? We're coming up probably on the 2.5 minute mark. It's been a while, but this is a pretty inclusive class. This is the stuff that you can reference back to, get some knowledge. Any final thoughts? Any final questions from anybody in the room? Now's the time to ask. And if you think of something later, ask in the crafting channel. You are very welcome, Door to Eden. Let's see, I got like a bunch of people typing, and I don't want to end the video without answering some questions that might have come up. A big shout out goes out to Gymnastic Goldfish. Thank you, man. Appreciate you for chartering this video. Forge, reforge, enhance, powder, imbue. You're doing that for a reaction, Firth. Doing that for a reaction. Fourth, reforge, enhance, powder, imbue. Funny man, funny man. Okay. Goldfish, that's all I got, man. If you want to play us out, I appreciate you, bro.
All right, guys. That was it. That is going to be advice and knowledge from the crafters on the server on how to begin your pathway to owning your UO Hope you liked it, and I will see you guys out there.